Hey everybody, Anmol here. So welcome to another video. Today is a little bit different. Usually now you guys are used to either Jared's great lectures or you're used to these high production videos. Today we wanted to say, you know what? What's really important is the psychological aspects that a trader deals with. So today I have with me a great friend of mine, David Wygant, trading and actually doing extremely well. He's been crushing it in the markets and he's also a member of the live traders community. And today we're going to chat about various different topics. We haven't really decided a theme of this video. We're just going to talk, and I'm going to let you in on see how we guys talk in person and the struggles that even we face as experienced traders. So you're going to get listen into that. But welcome, David. How's it going?
It's going good. I've been looking forward to this, man. I had my daughter last week, and that's like puts me into extreme dad mode. And it's funny. It's like last week I knew, you got the Murphy's Law, I call it, right? I knew last week would have been credit spread heaven. Last week of the year, nobody wants to rock the boat. The algos don't want to rock the boat, right? And but you know what? Sometimes you gotta prioritize what's important, and that's I think the beauty of this business is that it's always there. And I think that's why it makes it almost like one of the world's perfect businesses. It's always there. It's there. If you miss a week, you can easily make it up the following week because it's always there. And I think that's what people need to realize is that if you miss a day, it doesn't matter because it's always there the next day. And I think that's a really good mindset to have for people.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that because I think a lot of traders get FOMO of like missing that trade.
Yep.
But a trade is just a trade in a series of trades, right? You take an ocean full of trades, you miss one of them, it's not really going to make impact your year. Right? But in the moment, we get caught up. Oh my God, I missed that trade. Now my life's over. But it's not really because there's going to be a next one. And oftentimes, like people are pondering over what they missed, and then they forget the next one. And I think your eyes need to be on the next opportunity. And today's actually a good example. So when we're filming this video, today's a day where the stock called SLB really took off the morning, and it was on my list, and I completely missed it. And I was regretting it too. On the chat, you saw me post all the time, like
Oh,
SLB,
yeah.
God, I missed it, damn it, probably 10 times. But in that moment, I was not just focused on that. I was looking for other opportunities, and guess what? We found TSM that it ended up doing the same thing. Right, ended up getting to that 3R target. So you got to always look at the next picture. But David, I want to give people the insight because they might be watching you the first time on our Live Traders channel. So, like, give us a little background on where you were, what you're doing now, how long you've
Mm.
been trading, your trading style a little bit. Just give everybody like an insight so they can get to know you a little bit better.
I mean, for God, since 1998, I was the first guy that came up with boot camp for men. Um, the movie Hitch was based on my life. I was the guy that men turned to. I mean, to teach them how to connect with women, but more importantly, to teach them how to connect authentically with themselves. And I ran for almost 22, 23 years in that business. I mean, I still do some coaching and so forth. And I still like talking about the subject matter. But as I got older, I realized that there's more priorities in life, daughter, health, free time, there's so many things. So I was the go-to guy that people came to teach them how to meet women and go to boot camps and everything else. And I started trading exactly 4 years ago. And it's interesting because I compare it to, there's two comparisons that I compare it to. One, and Jared talks about it a lot, and so do you. If you think you're going to make money right away, it's the same guy that thinks he's going to go to a nightclub right away and get laid that night, right? Because he memorized a few lines and everything else. This business has been, some of the greatest highs and lows I've ever experienced in my entire life because I thought I would crush it because I've crushed everything else I've ever done. Everything I've ever done, I've crushed and made money right away. This business, I'll say it, the market is this seductress. And if you don't seduce her the right way, she will take your balls and rip them out of you. And the next thing you know, that 50,000 bucks you made, you're now down $10,000 and you don't know how, because you have to respect it. And I think that's been my greatest thing is respect. And my trading style more is because I tend to have a little more nervousness around letting my trades work. So for me, I go further out of the money on my spreads. Maybe I don't collect as much, but I'll do more contracts, right? And I'll just let the thing sit because I realize that I don't really want to cause any, when I'm growing as a trader, I don't want to cause any anxiety. It's the same thing I tell guys when you're in a club. Focus in on one person, flirt with that person, go home and feel great about yourself. So one of the things that I do, I'm all over and over again, is I've got a mantra. I said, in Apple, I can make all the money I need to pay all my bills and everything else. And if you concentrate on one thing, you become so great at it, everything else becomes second nature. So my style more is that, like when you post a trade in the room, I'll look at it. If I can catch it, I'll catch it and join in. But if not, I always know that Apple, Twitter, and GE are my three stocks on my three screens. I know there's money in any one of those, and I know those stocks well. So I'm okay with it, that my money from that day will come from one of those three stocks. So I have the safety net that I feel and the security that I give myself because I know Miss Apple, I know Miss GE, and I know Miss Twitter. You know, they're the girl that I can go home with that night, right? While I might flirt with Miss, TSM if I can catch TSM.
And tell me more about like what got you into trading. What, when you were looking to get serious, as you said, why not something else? Why not online business or Amazon e-commerce? Like, there's so many online things that go on that people try to do. What got you into trading?
I didn't want to market anymore, and I knew I had some blocks. I believe that in life you overcome your greatest fears, right? So my greatest fears, and this is interesting because the market, people ask me all the time, do you do therapy? I said, yeah, every single day. I turn on Think or Swim, and that's my therapist every single day because I journal every single day. I meditate every single day. I did the market because I didn't want to market anymore. I was getting older, and it wasn't a thrill anymore talking to a 23-year-old girl at CVS and breaking it down for a group of guys, right? I'm 59 years old. I very much into health and wellness and everything else. And I wanted something that would give me the greatest challenge. And I knew my challenge was money issues, right? Because my dad was a stockbroker and my father and mother used to tell me you can't make money in the stock market, even though my grandfather was rich. So I kind of looked at this as, let me overcome this, because I think when we live a life and we live a very fulfilling life, we overcome our greatest fears. We fail miserably for a long period of time. And I look at the market as I'm a quarterback in the NFL. And you know what? Year 4 usually is your best year coming into it. Usually you get your ass kicked for the first 3 years, and you make some money, you lose some money, you make a lot of money, and then you get back some of the money, right? And I did this because I wanted to be around people who were like-minded. I wanted to be around people who believed in abundance. I wanted to be around people who love to be challenged every single day, because that's what this is. It's the greatest challenge every single day. Yet we both know that if you just follow the patterns, you can, it's very, very simple. But our greatest challenge is inside our mind. And I knew after coaching for 23 years, I needed to fix or really evolve on a much deeper consciousness. And this actually was the universe kind of showed it to me one day. And I was just like, all right, I'm in. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to overcome some of my greatest challenges. And this is the only thing that's going to do that. So that's why I chose the stock market. Not only that you can make a lot of money, but you can make a lot of money doing anything.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Like putting yourself and challenging yourself is something really important, because when I started trading, originally when I was trading for a prop firm, it was only day trading. You were not allowed overnight, right? They would not give you their money to hold it overnight. So it's purely day trading. So for me, that was kind of like, I guess, my way of challenging myself. I was like, okay, great, I got day trading. Now I could either rely on day trading for literally the rest of my life, and just because you don't need a lot of money for day trading with a prop firm. At that time, your leverages were insane, 100 to 1. But now with a retail account, I was like, do I just be happy with this, or do I go further? Because with trading, there's no one way to trade. There's thousands of different strategies that you could use. Some on charts, some on unusual options activities, some on trend lines. There's just so many different variations. And then within that variation, you can create more variations using options, right? There's only 2 types of options, calls and puts. But what you can create out of that, the strategies you can make, are endless possibilities, right? You can hedge it, you can buy some stocks, sell some calls. And there's so many different ways that I started challenging myself. And That's what I was talking about in the newsletter last night that I sent out to the members, was that every year I get better. Every year I make a little bit more money,
Yeah.
because usually I'm either tweaking something or adding something. So like for me, Forex was something I was trading 2015, 16, 17 like a beast, crushing it. Right. But then my returns went down and I saw, okay, there's opportunity in options. I pivoted into that. And then now options is killing it. So, the income either stays maintained or goes up, but never should go down. I think if it's going down, there's only two reasons your income is going down: is either your trading results are not the same, which showcases that either you're not tweaking, optimizing, improving, or testing. There's only one reason. Or number two, you're just stagnant. You haven't learned anything. You've not developed any new ways. So I think challenging yourself is super important, and I think that comes with actually genuinely wanting to be interested. Like if it's a chore for people to sit in front of your monitor and scan for charts, or go through Twitter looking at what other people are talking about, if that's a chore, it's going to be tough business, right? The research that I do when I send out newsletters might only send out one trade, but the research that goes into that is like a whole weekend, right? Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that goes into finding that one trade. So there's definitely parallels to that. And I want to talk about, like, so based on your strategy now, are you focused on the option side? Are you focused more on swing side, day trading side? Or are you doing a combination of everything? And then what would you say, kind of like, in 2021, what was your biggest realization, things that you want to do more of and things that you want to do less of in this new year? What would you say is that for you?
Well, I have a couple of different strategies. For one, and that's I think something really, really important that I want to drive home for people is you gotta, and this is something I spend a lot of time at night watching stuff on YouTube, because it's interesting, right? I don't think I've missed a Jared video ever. I don't listen to it in the chat room because I'd rather be trading, right? But I'll watch it. And one of the things that I've always outlined is, well, what am I really good at? I'm good at zero DTEs because I have a lot of buying power and I can go 50 wide on the thing. I could pick up 20, 30 cents. I can do, I'm like you, I'll do 30 contracts. I don't care, right? Because I'll be watching it and I'm pretty much win all the time, right? The only time I bail out is if it feels like if it's moving against me a little bit, I'll bail out, and that's usually due to nerves, not because I've got to learn how to stay in that a little longer, because I found that my losses when I bail out of spreads is never because the spread's going to go against me. It's because I'm stupid and I looked at my monitor page and all of a sudden the premiums were jacked up for those 20 minutes, right? Because I'm good at playing the turns on spreads. I like that minimal risk. I know spreads are a lot of risk, but I feel like when you're zero DTE, you really just got to make it through the morning session, and then after that, you can look at ranges and play the hourly chart and everything else. So there's a really good strength that I have that I've learned. What I want to work on, I think one of the questions that you said to me was, working on stuff. My day trading is it's like I'm way better, man. It's just like, Monday through Friday. But like my positional trading, I have to learn, and this is something that I admit to myself, I've got to learn trust. There's this trust issue that comes up, and that's why I love the therapy in the market, right? For some reason or other, I trust my spreads immensely, right? And when Jeff gives out a spread, I'm like, oh, cool, I'm in, I'm fine with that. When you give out a spread, I'm fine with that. I have directional trust issues. And I think it comes down to probably, it's always about a reflection of yourself, not trusting yourself. And it comes down to probably childhood and having my grandmother and father and mother and, giving me these life lessons of not trusting myself, even though, I've built other businesses.
Or maybe it's that one girl who broke your heart and you don't trust anymore.
It's like all this psychological stuff. So in 2022, I've got arrows, I use these indicators with arrows and stuff like that. And literally I back tested it on them all 1,000 times. And if I just followed it, if I followed the whole system like a robot, $1.32 an apple one day, GE, I think it's like 175 today based on, it doesn't matter the amount of shares. I'm just talking about from arrow to arrow, right? So one of my goals from 2022 is just to sit there and just follow it and not care. I don't care win, lose. I don't care. I'm going all or nothing. I'm going, I'm going in. That's a big thing. I want to get better at holding my swing trades longer, just letting them kind of play out a lot, because what I'll do is I'll take that money and if what Jared says all the time is, you go take that money, you go take that 1R and then you lose, 3R, and all of a sudden that other trade would have been a 4R trade and you would have been up an R. Instead, you're down 2Rs. So I'm a firm believer in that. And I really, it's like, I think my biggest learning is I am going to trust what's in front of me, and one of the things I always tell people all the time, the most uncomfortable moments are the discomfort you feel for 5 straight days, trusting something that has been proven over and over again. I used to tell guys that all the time during the boot camps. I'd be like, listen, man, I'm going to tell you exactly how to do this. Okay. If you can go do this 100 times for 5 straight days, you're past your issues. So that's where I want to get the improvement, because I listened to you and I love that video you did last night, because it's so true. We learned something, and come January 1st, you have that opportunity. And the beauty of the market is that it's what you already know, you already can make money. What you failed at, you actually didn't fail at, you actually learned it. And if you just go and apply yourself for 5 full days, you're going to make that money and you're going to do really, really well. So those are the things that I personally want to work at. The spreads, I got it down. The 0 DTs, I can make my bills on Friday. You know that. I mean, it's like in the chat room, I'm always going, what do we got? What do we got? 0 DTs. Because it's like it's easy. And, unless there's, Trump's gone, he's not in the office anymore. So we don't get those shakeups anymore. So it's kind of easy. So yeah, that's what I want to get at, because I look at it, the exponential thing. What about you, besides, for anybody who hasn't seen or listened to that video from last night, what are your big aha moments? I know them, but I think other people who didn't listen to that one will be listening to this one. What about you? What is your biggest aha moment? Because I know your answers, but I think people need to hear it again, because it's a trust issue. If people just trusted the things you did, they would make money. So they got to work on their own trust, and you're working on your own stuff also. So share with people what that is.
Yeah, I think for me, it's like doing more of what you already know. So there's things that or the things that you think and you think that the stock's going to do this, but then actually executing on it. And then more importantly, when you execute on it, as you said, having that trust to be in that trade, because it's no good. You called it. Yeah, great. You called it. But if you're not in it, then what's the matter? Like, it doesn't matter if I called it or if I mentioned something, if I'm not in. So the trust is definitely there. And I don't think as traders, you can fully ever get to that 100% point, because like I call it robotic trading. You can get close to that. And if you operate close to that unemotional state of trading where you're just executing, you're going to do really well, but you're never going to be 100%. So you have to be okay knowing that you're never going to be 100%, because that's called a robot. And even robot will have glitches or something. If you're building an app, it'll still have that. So for me, it's like doing more of that. And for my swings, I have to let them play out, because I literally looked at every single swing that I've had called in the newsletter. And if managed correctly, I mean, they were monster trades that went 100x, 10, 20, 50x from where we called it, but we were not in it for that move. Now, that's not to say you do that on every single trade, because there's also a thing known as opportunity cost. Sure, let's say that trade went 30x, but what if your buying power was tied in, so you could not take the next 10 trades that made 1R each? It's still the same thing. So there's a balance there that kind of have to work it out with statistics, what's the right approach. But I want to definitely let my trades play out a bit longer, because I'm right on the majority of the bigger moves, but I'm not in those bigger moves. So I have to do a better job of that. Number 2, I got to get my bias out of it. Sometimes there's some stocks that I just think they're going to go, and I keep trading them in again and again. I need to learn to just like learn to let him go, because the opportunity cost of that money being put into, or that buying power being taken and selling a spread, like you would have made that money already. So I think I need to kind of learn to do that more. But I think overall, I've had a great year. I actually just want to do more of what I've already done in 2021. If I can repeat what I did in 2021, I would be happy, because again, look at all the hedge funds, right? Out of 3 or 4 hedge funds, every single hedge fund underperformed the market this year. Kathy was down like 20 something percent, where
I
the
know,
market's
that's
up 20.
amazing.
Yeah. So that's like a 40% swing that she's underperforming the market by. And so when I look at it, that I've had a great year. Even if you risked 1% on any swing trade in the newsletter, that's a 55% return. Let's say you did not catch all the trades. Well, if not 55, you still, let's say you got 10% less, 45%. Well, yeah, is that too bad? Not really. So for me, I just have to do more of what I'm already doing. I have to be disciplined. Sometimes there's some trades in the options alerts where I might have gone like bigger size than I should have.
I noticed that.
Yeah. And then in those trades, it's harder to, as you said, right? Like, let's say the spread is going to be a winner, but that unrealized, the loss, that the difference gets you out of the trade quicker. And the trade ended up working anyway. So if I had 10 contracts, I would have eventually won on that trade. But because I had 100, I couldn't, if I'm not right immediately, like I couldn't handle onto that trade. So I think sizing correctly your positions, even though I'm a successful trader, like not letting that get to my head and sizing everything accordingly and not doing trades where one trade is 10 contracts, the next one's like a 500 contract position. So I have to learn to kind of mitigate that basically for me.
Do you know, you said not getting to your head, it's funny because I went through all my shaky moments. I call it the jittery moment, right? I think I was in a Lulu spread and the fucker popped like maniac because I'll play the earning spreads because sometimes it's just, man, I can make 20 cents and I'm $200 away. It's like so tempting, right? And I was in a Lulu thing and I was like $5 away and I started panicking. And I was like, oh my God, it was option expiration day. I'm like, oh, I got to get out, right? And if I waited an hour, right, all that premium that was so jacked up was nothing after an hour. And I think that's a really big thing for me, I went back and I looked at a lot of these spreads and I realized, and I hate this number, and I'll share it with you. It's like $135,000 in money. And I went through my notebook and I looked and I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? It's like, and then I started adding it up and I'm like, oh, that's the price of a car. That's the price of, it's like, even if you deduct your 30% in taxes, right? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, that's what I'll do. I'll deduct the taxes. I'll be like, oh, that was cash for this and for that. And and reinvesting in here. And I realized that's like my biggest thing is the deep breath moment, where take it. And I'm really getting better. Like, it's like the last couple of weeks, I've been really good because I call it the jittery money. And that jittery money, and I think Jared talks about it too, right? Is that if you just take a deep breath and realize that 100% of what you jittered out would have actually worked, you actually would have made a shit ton of money that year, right? So if you look at that as a human being, you say to yourself, wait a second, I've already proven this to myself. And this year's going to be even better because I'm probably going to get even better entries, right? And if I don't get nervous and I don't allow, because we both know those option chains, they're jacked in the first hour of the day. Like, so if it's going against you, don't do it in the first hour. Wait a little while and everything goes down. So I'm glad you said that, because I think people will look at you. And I remember when I was coaching a lot, people would look at me and go, oh man, it's like, oh, I'm just so nervous. And it's like, even the experts don't trust themselves at times. I mean, even like sometimes when you go very big in size in the options, I look and I'll be like, ooh, this one can go either direction. And I know what you're doing. I know you're watching it hard. I know that if it goes up just 20 cents, it's like, but if it goes down, it's nerve wracking. And I think that's a big thing too. It's like when we size up, we have to relax just as much as if we had one contract.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, and also one of the things to add to that point is whenever you size big, like if it goes against you initially, right? Let's say you're down a lot, or maybe you're down more than what you expected. That trade almost never will make money, because when it starts coming back break even, you're already thinking about getting out.
Oh yeah,
right. Like if you're down a lot and it comes back up, you're not going to make money on that because you're not going to hold it. Like when you're down and it comes back to break even, you're trying to get out. So those trades almost never work. So that's kind of been for me is like, for this year, like, hey, size accordingly. let every trade be kind of similar, unless I know it's going to be a day trade. Like whenever I'm trading Tesla options, usually it's a day trade. It's not something I'm holding overnight. So in those cases, it's okay to go bigger if I know it's only a day trade, you know. But if it's something that I'm holding overnight, you got to be really careful with those position sizing, because you could be right and you make a lot of money. But if not, then you get an overnight gap against you, that's premium can get killed. So I think controlling that is definitely one of the big things for me. So tell like everybody about like kind of, obviously you joined Live Traders a couple of years ago, and since then, you know, we got acquainted back again. So what have been like your biggest, I guess, learning lessons that you've either got from Jared or myself or any other members in the room? And what would you say would be the difference between, let's say, you know, being a member of Live Traders community versus like anywhere else?
Okay. When I first got into this business, I used, you know, a lot of my notoriety and everything else, and I literally talked to every single person who had a checkbook. Every one of them. I did podcasts on every one. The only ones that really resonated with me were you guys, you know, for a lot of reasons. Okay. One was authenticity, to me, is really important. You know, you're about as transparent comes. You know, you take the trades, you know, you're honest, you're forthright, and I really like that. Jared just cracks me up because he's such a curmudgeon sometimes, and it just reminds me of all the people I grew up with. You know, I grew up in the suburbs in New York, and I mean, I love listening to him. He's good at what he can do, and then when he's not good, he'll admit it. And I think my greatest Jared lesson just came recently, you know, and he talks about it a lot, but he just did a video, I think it was 2 weeks ago, where if you don't let those winners do what they need to do, you're going to constantly be making up your losers, you know, because if you're quickly getting out of a winner and then that thing goes on, and I love the way he did that. That stock goes on and it moves 3 to 1, 4 to 1. You need that 4 to 1 in your bank account to cover your 5 losers in a row that lost you 5 odds.
Right.
You need that. And I think that's one of the greatest lessons. And I think the repetition that you guys do over and over again, I think if people, when they join Live Traders, they need to join the community and they need to listen to everything. If they're going to join Jeff Yates, just don't mimic Jeff. Watch those videos Jeff puts out. Jeff puts in a lot of work. When you're listening to Jared talk, you know, unless he goes on a political tyrant, which I happen to love because I feel the same way about COVID that he does, right? If you look, he's a momentum trader, you know, so he's a different trader than you are. You know, you are you're going to trade more my style, right? But when Jared does momentum and he says 84% rule, realize that he knows the statistics of this and trust what he's doing in that 84% rule and know what that rule is, understand that rule. And I think that's what people, and you guys are so good. Both of you, I think, are amazing at repeating things over and over again and really not being afraid to tell people you shouldn't be trading, you know, and I love that. It's like a daily reminder. Somebody puts it in there. No, you shouldn't be trading right now. You know, you shouldn't be on the simulator, but you shouldn't be trading. You should do one share, you know, if you can't sit in one share. I think that's the strength that you guys have, and all the amounts of service and the support that you both put in it, I think is just superior to anybody else, because other people are trying so many gadgets and, you know, you're following their calls, and most of the time they're pumping, you know, so they're playing low caps, and you can't follow any service that does low cap. I mean, you know, low cap, mid cap, small caps, all those things, you can't do that, you know. You're playing real plays, real stocks, you're putting in your money. And I think people need to understand that. And I think the lesson that Live Traders always comes up with is, look, I mean, when Jared was slumping, I think it was August, was it, or September, he had a lousy month, right? He wasn't lying. You know, he goes, my trading sucks right now, you know, and I think that to me is what differentiates you guys from everywhere else, because when other people's trading sucks, they tend to not talk about it and they gloss over on it and they don't rework it and they're not repetitive about it. So to me, this is a community of people who really want to understand who they are and the psychology. It's like you're so big on the psychology And it's funny, on my board, I have in on wall I trust, right? Because you know better than I do. Sometimes I debate you on some of your options plays, right? And you know what I've tracked? The ones I've debated you that I didn't get in, guess what? 93% of them won. I didn't see technically what you saw, but what you see is more experience than I have, because you love bottoming patterns, and sometimes I think to myself, man, oh, I look at the 4 hour, I look at the daily, I look all around, I'm like, damn, man, this is like all the moving hours are jamming this thing down. But then I forget this one thing that I forget that you know better, man. You got that support resistance line. You got that you know where that support is. And you know that if it's either going to hold or not hold, and that bounce can be something really, really nice. So you're not looking for a home run on that. You're looking for income on that. And I think that's where the transparency comes in. So you guys are good, man. I mean, really good. I think people need to learn to trust. You guys are here to drive the car. And if people just want to take a ride as the passenger, they can make a lot of money. But if they really, truly want to learn and grow and become a great trader, I think what would make Jared more happy than anything is if the students out-traded him.
Definitely. And I think a lot of students, I mean, that makes me feel good, because one of the things whenever we run, like an online, I guess, business, you might call it, it's always like, if it's just based on like getting poor people, it doesn't do much, right? And as you can see, we have no desire of keeping people. If we were, we'd be nicer to them. We'd say, great job, amazing trade, you made money, great, amazing. But it's not about that, because it's not fulfilling, right? I mean, same way as, let's say, if you were teaching dating and then you got older, you had priorities. So when I started, I was like, great, we're just going to grow live traders and do everything, But now then the goal became like, hey, are we actually helping people? Because we want to change the statistic, because the statistics that they throw online is 98% traders lose money. Like, that's like saying, hey, I watched, because those statistics take into account every single person who has an account who pushes a buy or a sell button. And then that statistic made a study which was saying, hey, 90% traders fail. But that's like saying, hey, I watched a video on surgery online, now I'm a surgeon. Like, no, it's not how it works, right? It's different. I don't watch a video on, like, I didn't watch a basketball game and say, hey, now I can play the NBA. So same thing with trading, is like the statistic is completely different. And every time we've done the poll in the room, or we do the poll, hey, how many of you guys are actually making money? Those of you who've been in the room for more than a year, that's 70-30. Like 70% people are making money, 20% in that line where they're either up a little bit or down a little bit, like hovering around their break even, and then 10% are losing money. And then the people who are losing money will always admit that they don't have a management strategy. They're doing different things on different trades, right? And then those who were making money, 90% of them were doing a fixed management approach. Like that one statistic can tell people a lot of things they need to know about how to make it in trading. And just think about this. 70% of the room makes money. 90% of those 70 people are doing a fixed management. That's a huge statistic. Like, just understanding that part. If you can just stick to one method, every method will have its ups and downs, but your equity curve will go to A to B at the end of the year if you can ride those waves. Problem is, people get a down wave. Oh my God, it's not working. Stuff is not going 3R. I'm going to do 2R. Next month, everything that you got out for 2R went 3R. Now you just left 10 on the table. So you'll always be behind doing random things. And that's kind of one of my goals for this year as well, is I'm doing a fixed management. There's not a lot of variation to it. It's a combination of three, taking a third and a third and a third, but it's set in stone, the way I'm managing it. So for you, what would, like, you're managing it dynamically, right? So how has that been for you? And have you tested out other approaches? Let's say if you did do something fixed, how would that have turned out?
I'm a micromanager. It's my personality. So I need to, the beauty of this business, I think, is to look at your personality and realize that your personality is not etched in stone. Just because you've done things that have worked in other businesses. I've been, my ex, one of my millions of exes, right, used to work for me in my bar in the early 90s. And when I used to work in, they used to be like, hello, King. And they'd salute me, right? Because I was a micromanager. I'd come in, I'd bark my orders, and I'd go sit in my office, right? But I would miss the whole thing that was going on, the hard work that they were doing. I was seeing only what I wanted to see. So I realized that one of the beauties, and this is a good lesson, and it's something that you talk about and Jared talks about a lot, and I don't think people listen to enough. if you feel in any way that you're stuck at a certain level, go to the weekly, the monthly. You did that on the video yesterday, go to the weekly, go to the monthly, look at the higher time frames. And now I got the 4 hour and the hour up during the day. So when I look at a trade and I'm managing it and I'm looking at the 1 minute to me is the crazy drunken girl at the bar, right? And she comes on to you, and then she pulls back, and then she comes on to your friend, and then she comes on to you, and then she pulls back, and then she does a shot, then she throws up on your sneakers, then she wants to go home with you, right? She's the crazy drunken girl. So we can enter on that 1 minute, but to me now, when I feel like the crazy drunken girl is beating me up, I go to the 4 hour and I go, oh yeah, I'm good, man. That drunken girl doesn't want to do this. So what I want to do is not micromanage anymore. I want to be more in a state of allowance. And I think what you guys really taught me more at the end of each week, what I've been doing that I think can help people a lot? I measure the weekly candles of every single week on a Friday, the last hour, because we're done anyway, right? The last hour, I'll look at those weekly candles. I'll be like, oh my God, this stock only moved $13 this week. It felt like it moved 1,000. It's like, wow, I got in and I got out and I got in and I got out. And I realized it's like stocks only move a certain amount. So once you know that, when you get shaken up by the drunk girl on the 1 minute chart, and she's shaking her little candles all over the place, learn and not micromanage and sit back and go like this. I put my hands up now, Amal, and I'm like this. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to allow. It's like I'm just going to allow. Like when I got into the SPX today, it took me 20 minutes to get in. I just would not get filled. It was driving me no matter what, 50 wide, 40 wide, 35 wide. And I was not getting filled. Finally, I got filled. And then when I got filled, I was like, am I far enough away? And the 1 minute looked like, oh no, this thing's going to come down and it's going to crash. And right. And then I got in my head, and you know what I did? I went to the 4 hour and I looked at the two candles before me, and I realized these things haven't moved. It's like this magical, crazy move that I think in my brain is going to happen this afternoon going against me isn't going to happen. And I put my hands up and I said, I surrender and I am safe. And, we got 3 hours left in the day, and please, I if I got filled on all my contracts, it would have been great, So, and I think another thing too is that on a Monday, I try to make $500 on a Monday, because I find that when you make money on a Monday, the rest of the week is really easy, So just give yourself an attainable goal. To me, $500 is very attainable on a Monday, right? So I do that, and then the rest of the week I cruise. I mean, it's like I just feel like, all right, I'm good. I've made $500. I can let things work out now. The rest is gravy. It's a weird psychological thing. No, I don't want to make $500 a week, but I look back last year of all my good weeks, and it was when I was positive on a Monday morning. It's when I made anywhere between $500 and $600 on a Monday. I went on to crush it that week.
Right. Yeah, I could see that, because you start the week off good, you have some cushion, and, in your mind, you're a winner. So you go with a winner's mindset. Whereas if you suck on a Monday, you lose a lot of money, and that'll kind of carry that to Tuesday, which is usually, for my statistics, Tuesday is my worst day, for, I don't know why, but for several years when it comes to day trading, and I've tracked every single for the last, I think, 7 years, Tuesdays are like cumulatively like either break even or down, which I don't understand why that is, but it's a statistic. So usually on Tuesdays, I'll be more careful. But I can see how like starting Monday, puts you in that psychological position where you're going into the trade with some confidence, right? Whereas the first trade is always the hardest, especially after the weekend. So like if you come after a weekend, especially a holiday weekend, the first trade is the hardest. And I think that's kind of what happened to me on SLB today. It was just something I scanned for, gave me what I wanted, but it was the first trade of the new year. So I was like, I got to get this right. And I ended up skipping that trade and hit the target. But then I was extra careful on TSM because it's important for me to, again, same thing, start the day, week, year, month on a good note. And that definitely helps to start. Today was like a $4,000 day. That's a good position to start with, because then I know next day, if I stop out on a day trade tomorrow, it doesn't matter because I'll still be positive. So there's a psychological like element to that I could and I could see as well. Other thing I wanted to say was like, I don't know about you guys, but if you're listening in, like I think this was super helpful for you guys to see, because this is not like a podcast that we scripted and like we filmed and we just kind of got in it. This is just me and Dave talking, and you guys are getting to hear that. And I hope that you guys find these kind of things beneficial. So we're gonna keep going, but I want you guys to comment below if you think these kind of videos are helpful, and more importantly, what if you could be a part of these calls? What if you could be a part of something like this, where you could be on Zoom just like us, have your camera on, and we're chit chatting, we're talking through psychological issues. Because one thing about coaching, and Dave is a great coach, and majority of traders are men. So like the psychology of men is something that I think David understands really well. And me, having obviously wrote a book and having the trading psychology course, understand it really well. And I think there's a lot of similarities in everything. And what I found is the better I become as a trader and the better my psychology becomes as a trader, I become a better person and better human and more confidence in not just trading, but all areas of my life. And that could be because of psychological reasons that I think, or it could be just that you're making more money as a trader. So when you're going up, you're more confident anyway because you're doing well, So that I think adds to that.
Wait, can I add to that while you're there? Because
yeah, sure.
I don't want to cut you off, but it is you're holding this is the biggest thing, is that when you become better at a trader, you are being a man. You're stepping into your word. You're holding your word. Like everybody in the morning wakes up and go, I'm gonna take all my arrows that come when the 8 and the 20 cross, and then give it an hour later, and 99% of the people, they're like, I'll do it tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest things that I know what trading has done is it's made me a better person. I am way more true to my word than I've ever been in my life, and I hold other people more accountable than ever before. So even though I've coached for 23 years and I'm a confrontational person, and I'm not going to let, if you guys think Jared's confrontational, you just go work with me for an hour. It's like, I'm going to call you out on your shit and your programming and all your ticks and all the things you've done. But the beauty of this is that the market forces you to call yourself out on a daily basis. So in turn, all my other relationships in my life, I've called out on a daily basis. Like I'm not putting up with anybody's bullshit anymore, because the market has told me, literally the market every single day, called, the psychological, with an S, and profile for the S&P, right? The psychological and profile looks at me and says, all right, David, did you hold true to your word today, or did you not hold true to your word? And it's amazing when you answer that, and then you go to the gym and you say to yourself, nope, didn't hold my word today. And you go and you journal and you reflect on it. So it's a most incredible growth experience as a man. And I think you have also, you also know that you become a better man when you hold your word, and your relationships are better because your relationship is really with yourself.
100%. I think that's one of the biggest things that trading has taught me, is like how to be true to your word, like how to live with integrity. And before this, integrity or like following through on your word was not something that it was even like top of my mind. It was all about, hey, what's the strategy? What I got to do? What I got to say? It wasn't anything to do with the word. But then trading actually taught me, if you can just stick to your word, like, hey, this is my new trading plan. This is my new strategy. I'm going to follow my trading plan. And you actually do it. Then you notice that you could actually do it in other areas of your life. I think that's tremendously important. And nowhere else could I have learned that than trading. You could have learned it to other ways, I guess, from your coaching that you might have done with men. They probably learned that in that. Hey, if you're going to go talk to somebody, well, you talk to them right now. There's no later. It's right now. So I think same thing with trading is that, if you're going to stick to your trading plan, because a trading plan is only as good as your ability to follow it, right? You could have the world's best written trading plan. You have all these details, all the statistics, but it's no good if you can't follow it. Or if you follow it, but not every time. If you're just following it now and again, it's not going to work either. So like sticking to one thing is super important, at least when it comes to trading. I don't know about relationships, but sticking to one thing when it comes to trading is super important. And I think people need to do more of that. Is there something, David, that you do every day? Like, is there some ritual, routine, or something that helps you in your trading that you do every day without fail?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I wake up at the same time every single morning. I wake up 7:45 in the morning. I have a pulse machine, PEEMF machine. If you do really well in trading, I suggest you buy it. I'm big into biohacking. And the pulse machine, you can get one for about $7,000, but it's a grounding device that works at you on a cellular system, on a cellular level. And it really it's amazing. I mean, if you want to learn more about this, Da Vinci Medical is really good. There's a podcast that he does with Ed Milet. So you can really listen to that, right? I'll do that. I'll lay on that mat. I'll do a meditation. I'll do my Wim Hof breathing. And then I will visualize how I want the day to go. Like I'll visualize.
Is it one of those mats that have like I saw it in something like that on a spa once. It's like a mat with some either nodes or crystals or something at the bottom where you lay on it.
No, it doesn't have the crystals. It's plugged into a device and it's sending volts through your body. Energy healing. Jerry Tennant's big in that. Voltage is healing. Tesla, the original Tesla, whatever is Nikola Tesla, from years ago, believes that we are just energetic beings. So what we're doing is we're feeding ourselves. So I will do that every single day, and I will then visualize how I want my day to be, what my goal is based on the night before. I will go, I'll do the rings and I'll put it over my eyes and I'll meditate, right? And I'll listen to a I Am meditation by Dr. Wayne Dyer. And I will visualize exactly what I need to go and do the next day. And you'll see, I know from all my meditations and everything else, it's pretty much the same thing that comes up on a regular basis. And if the thing comes up on a regular basis, what you want to do then is do your I am statements, okay? I am a calm trader. And I noticed in January after I got caught in one of the worst trades in my life, and it was a 1 in a million. I got caught in Teladoc. I had a spread on. I had a spread on for earnings, and the thing dropped $100, and I lost a lot of money, and way more money than I ever should lose on a trade, right? And since then, though, I have used in my IAMs. I was like, well, first off, I'm never going to play that earnings play again. Secondly, I am a cool, calm trader, and it's really helped me because it's those meditations that I look at my day and I say to myself, all right, what do I need to incorporate in my meditation tonight that I learned today? So I do an honest assessment every single day after market closes of what I've learned. And then I do it in my visualization that night, which leads to the visualization manifestation meditation in the morning. And look, I could take, if you want, guys, one day we can just do a group meditation. I mean, I'm really big into that. You can just listen to it and re-listen to it.
I think we'll take you up on it, right, guys? Comment below if you want us to take up David on his offer and do like a group meditation on Zoom or something like that. I think that's a great idea because, and I do a lot of that too. And Jared does not. Jared's like completely, that's a woo-woo. Like, it's different breed of person. Okay. Yeah. But for me, I do it. Like we had a mentorship in New York City. This was like, I think 3 years ago where we did a live event. We had like 30 guys there and, and a couple girls there. And we're doing trading talk. Jared's going at it, giving his spiel. And then I come on and I'm like, hey, let's do some visualizations. Let's do, more of this. And I could have seen Jared's face. He was like, all right, there he goes again. But at the same time, I really think it's helpful. Maybe not for everybody. Everybody's got different personality. But for me, absolutely helpful. And in the trading psychology course, I kind of go through that exercise, which is you close your eyes. And everybody watching this video can do this. And let me know how it went for you. But it's not something you're going to do just once. You got to do it over and over. And what you got to do is like, imagine you being in that trade. We actually have a video on that where it was like a funny skit that Jared and I did where I was this coach and, he came to me, doctor saying I need help. There's a whole skit we shot. There's a video on YouTube, but it was like imagining you getting into the trade, right? It's your targets 2R. Trade goes up, you're in the trade. How does it feel? Imagine like, how does it feel when you hear order fill? Like in my platform, that's how it'll go. Order fill, how does that feel? Like get used to those jittery emotions, right? And then imagine trade, is up 1.5R, 1.7, 1.8, about to hit your target. Imagine how good that feels. And imagine immediately get a red bar. Oh. And now you're breaking even. Like going through that whole process in your brain, not once, not twice, every single day for like 30 days, imagining it hitting your target, pulling back, like imagining all those scenarios. So you get yourself accustomed to every little scenario. Or if it's a bigger size, maybe you're somebody who's only risking $100 a trade. Like imagine risking 1,000. Like, does it feel good? Because if you don't feel good, or if you cannot hold the trade in your mind, you're not going to be able to hold it in real life. So like you got to go to the exercises to custom yourself. And that's kind of something that is a part of my trading psychology course. And usually we do with group coaching. So I think it'll be really helpful to do something like this where we can bring, and let me know your thoughts on this, David. Like we could bring a bunch of our members, right? Live traders members, or maybe occasionally doing a free one, getting people on YouTube to come on sort of like a Zoom forum like this, where we can not only discuss strategies for improvement and, but learning how we can be better as traders, human beings, life general. I think that's going to be helpful, but not really specific trading based, like chart based, teaching them technicals, but really helping them on what really moves the needle, which I think is your mindset, is your psychology. So I think that would be a great thing. What do you think about that?
I love it because it's something that, for one, I practice every single day. So to be able to give back to people, because that's who I am anyway. It's like I'm always about giving back to people, giving back to the lessons that I learned. And giving back. If I lose money in something, I always say, well, this is something I can give back to other people. At least I took the loss for everybody else. And it's funny. I think just to get you to calm down, especially if they're following Jeff's credit spreads, if you look at that maximum loss, it's big, and you can't look at it. And Jeff talks about it. You can't look at the max loss because you're never going to get there. I mean, who's going to go put $40,000 on the line to make $300 to lose 39,000, 700? It's never going to get there because you're managing it. And I think that's part of the whole, if you close your eyes right now, I am safe is a very big thing. I am safe. And you breathe in. And when you were saying close your eyes and you made me visualize, I went along with you at that time. And I do know that, oh God, on that 1 minute or 2 minute chart, that red bar, it's like a knife coming down and you're so close to making money. And you're like, oh no, let me just bail right here. And all it is just an algo sold. That's it. It's just some weird thing. It's not going to ruin it. But when you said that, I literally went like this. I was like, I immediately breathed in as deeply as possible. And there was a calmness about my body because we immediately go to our stomach and we go to our chest and we get tight in our stomach and chest. And we don't breathe well. Not to get into, Jared loved this conversation, but I think COVID is a disease of people not breathing. It's so interesting that it's a lung disease and most people are being from India, everybody, India, breathe into your hips, breathe out of your hips. It's like, your culture is about a lot of breath work, and I think the American culture is about holding everything in. You want to hold it in. And when you said that, it's like, if you just breathe in when things don't feel right, take the deepest breath, hold it for 8 seconds and blow it out. And immediately anxiety is over with because once again, if you look at today's charts, like I look at Apple today and I got a friend of mine in at 180.25. And I told her to hold 50% of it, right? After she made target of like 45 cents. I said, hold 50% of it. And it's up almost $2 from that point, right? So it's like forcing yourself to breathe through it is one of the most amazing, beautiful experiences you'll ever have in all aspects of your life. So you don't overreact to anything in life.
Right. I think, all those things are things that, people watching this video, they know that they need to do that. They know they need to visualize. They know they need to meditate. I think the problem really comes in is that the doing part. Like, people probably have watched tons of videos on meditation, visualization, and they know what they need to do. And one of the exercises David gave you right now, one of them I gave you right now. But the question is how many people are actually going to do it? I think this is where like a forum type, Zoom type of group comes in helpful. That, hey, we meet every week, we meet every once a week or we meet every month or whatever the thing is, but getting people to actually do it. Because if you're there on a Zoom call and we say, okay, this is what we're going to do, we're going to visualize. Now you get your visualizations and meditation knocked out because you're going to do them here, right? But otherwise, I hate to say it, It's not like I don't trust you guys, but knowing the majority of statistics, a lot of people are going to watch things, they know the right things to do, but they don't do it. So I think that's where it will be helpful, because a lot of the trading, education, I mean, education's there. If you want to learn how to read charts, you want to learn how to trade, the courses and everything is all on the website. You can grab it and you can learn it in a weekend. But like, now, are you going to do what you learn is a whole different ball game, right? I can teach anybody to trade in 2 minutes, but learning how to make money is completely different. So, you have to get into that habit. I think this is where a group like this comes in handy, because a lot of chat rooms, the chat rooms are amazing. Well, the issue obviously is that, hey, it's not two-way communication often the time, it's one-way communication. So I think to have that two-way communication and, seeing not only people who are there where you want to be, but people who are in the same journey as you, I think having that peer group definitely helps, especially for men. I've noticed that is that having that camaraderie, having that group is something that really accelerates like your curve for learning.
I think having something like this that we're talking about is a safe place to ask the question that you're afraid to ask in the chat room during the day. Because in the chat room during the day, it's about making money. And here you are in terror, or you're mentally masturbating and you didn't, oh, should I get in? Should I not get in? We all mentally masturbate and we all don't get in on half the trades that we see. Okay. But yet you feel all alone in that moment. And I think creating on Mall a very safe place for people to ask what they think is a stupid question, because if you ask in a safe place what you think is a stupid question, I guarantee you 90% of the other people in there are looking at your question going, oh, thank God he asked that, not me. It's like, I'm so glad he asked that question and not me, and it's under his name, right? Because we all go through the same thing. And as men, we're so ego driven that we don't want to be perceived as being weak, that if we're the one stepping on the ledge and not asking that question, we're perceived as weak, because as men, we're competitive and we compare ourselves to other people. And I look at it like, if you follow the NFL, a good quarterback sucked, except, unless you're, Justin Herbert and some of those rare guys that just took over right from the get-go. But most of these guys really sucked for 2 years. But the difference is that they got to ask the stupid questions to their position coach, to their quarterback coach, to the secondary coach, right? So I think we open up a chat room like that. You can ask these questions, because I guarantee you that you're struggling with psychological issues that other people are. And if we gave this safe haven with no judgment, you're finally going to break through, and you're finally going to allow that Apple trade to run $2-3 because you don't care anymore and you feel confident about yourself, because where you're struggling is there's never been a place where you can get that help psychologically. I mean, there's there's so many online communities out there for trading, and not one concentrates on allowing somebody to really trip, fall, and ask that stupid question that really psychologically can take them from an average trader to a fantastic trader very quickly. Because it's always just, we both know this. If you're really honest with yourself, the only thing stopping you from making money is usually the one stumbling block, the one thing that you're afraid to sit in fear and discomfort with. And that's what I always tell people all the time. One of the things I look at people all the time is, how did you sit in discomfort today? Like my trading partner, she was up here and like she got out of that Apple trade, and I was like, what are you doing? You have 500 shares. Take 250 off and just let the rest ride. Sit in that. I was uncomfortable. Well, you have to sit in that discomfort all day, sit in that discomfort. Even if you got to sit there and watch it all day long and you just think, oh, sit in that discomfort, because it's going to prove to you that you can do it, and it's going to give you that thing. So I think maybe we have like a discomfort group, it's like we get them past that, and it'll be amazing to watch them make that much more money.
Oh yeah, I mean, one way I get through discomfort is I always think, what would Elon do? What's the difference? Elon Musk is he discomfort when he sees all of his life's hard work and savings put in a rocket, and is that rocket actually going to take off? Is it actually going to reach where it wants to reach, or is it going to be a failure and crash? Like, think about the discomfort there. So that's real discomfort. Okay, that's like real world discomfort. You're putting people on a rocket. Is that actually going to work? Is it going to be successful? That's discomfort. Like you holding 100, 200, 300 shares of Apple in the large scheme of the universe doesn't mean much. So like you get yourself, to that point to do whatever it takes to do. But I always, always helps me to think of Elon, knowing, hey, is that car going to self-drive itself? Is it going to change the lane? Like that level of discomfort is not something that, most humans will face. So I think that kind of gets you through that as well. But I love what you've said. I think all that we've talked about today is absolutely going to help people. And I think this forum type of group is something I'm excited about because you know what? I love trading and I love talking to traders, right? So this type of thing is something that I wouldn't mind tuning into as well every single week or whatever we decide. So now rather than, making it something that we just said, we're going to do this. So if this video gets at least minimum 10,000 views and gets 500 likes, right? And again, I also want to see, let's say, at least 50 comments or 100 comments, right? If you guys want to see something like this actually come to fruition, where we have this kind of a group where you can come in like a Zoom call, be with David and me, and kind of help David and me, or coach you through that process of trading success, get you to where you want to be, then let us know. And you can let us know by hitting the like button, commenting on that video, sharing it with people. Because I think this thing has never been done before. There's always one-way communication in this trading business. I think two-way communication will really help this, because I always think about live traders as like, a university. It's like, it's not me. It's not about Jared. It's not about me. It's not about any of it. It's about people coming together to get better, to get the results that they want to get and help each other along the way, which gives you purpose. Because trading is not something, it's not like a regular job where you have your colleagues, right?
Exactly.
After you can talk to your colleagues about your business problems, you have your supervisors to guide you. There's nobody here. You are in front of your computer, and pretty much by yourself. So you have to hold yourself accountable. But even better, what if you were in a group that holds you accountable, right?
Well,
How much faster would that be?
We can actually hook people up, like-minded people up, and actually hook them up with accountability partners as well, too.
True.
Another thing also, because when you're in a like-minded group of people, once again, nobody's done this. If you're in a group of people and the group grows and you're like, hey man, look what Live Traders is doing. They're allowing space to really be open, honest, and forthright, because that's the only way they're going to grow. And these guys are like admitting they're admitting their faults. They're admitting their things. And I love what you just said. It's like, Elon Musk puts a spaceship in the thing, and you can't take $100 of risk on a trade, right? You at least have defined risk. You're not, what if that spaceship went up there and killed 25 people, right? That's what's so funny. And I think it wouldn't be funny if that happened, right? But one of the things is that this is a business where you can bullshit yourself so much. And Jared talks about this, right? You can bullshit yourself so much all the time because your bad habits you can erase. It's like I call it the whiteboard eraser of the bad habits. But imagine having a group session, which is healing, okay? And then during the chat, you might find somebody who's just like you, and you guys can end up, you guys might even live, I live in Atlanta. You might find somebody, you might live in Tennessee, and you might find somebody in the chat down below who lives in Tennessee, and you guys are 5 minutes apart, and you can literally go and trade together, and have that support. Because the hardest thing, and I have found from 23 years of coaching, is that people suck at holding themselves accountable. They are the worst at that, and even I can suffer from that, and I'm a coach, and I at least get pissed off myself when I hold myself accountable. But people are really hard at that because they don't do it, because nobody's pushing them. And we can push you guys harder than you've ever been pushed before, because if you want success in 2022 and what's blocking you, we will push you to that level, because it only makes you and I on most stronger. I mean, who learns more, the teacher or the student? It's like, I know if we did this on a regular basis, your trading, my trading would go through the roof, right? And of course, what do we talk about? What did you just talk about in the video? All ships, right? They rise with the tide, and it's like all the dogs rise with the tide when everything is going up. So I love it, and I love it. I'm inspired by it.
Great, me too. I think this was a great discussion. We've been at about an hour point now, so I'm going to stop this here and hope everybody watching the video, not only learned a ton of things. I did. I mean, just by talking with traders, you always learn something, or even just like let's say David asking me about, hey, what are you going to improve in 2021? Made me think a little bit, right? So all those things kind of help, and I'm excited to actually do something like this because I feel good about doing something like this. And I hope, and I'm pretty sure actually, not, I hope, I know for a fact a bunch of people got tons of notes out of this and tons of information and tons of things that they can use. And hopefully you guys got an insight, just, say, hey, how are we chatting about ourselves? And I think a group like this is definitely going to be helpful. So hope you guys learned a lot. Again, click the like button, comment below. And if you are interested, just type in the comments that I'm interested, and we'll put something together. We have a lot of cool new updates coming out with our website and things of that nature, which I'm excited to share with you and show everybody, what it's going to be like. But we are building, a university in a way. We're building a community. And if you are somebody who has, are like-minded, you have the open mind, you have the willingness to learn, and you're really in it for the passion of trading, like you actually want to get better, you actually want to learn, and yeah, you actually want to make money, and not trading for the thrill of it, like the YOLO Wall Street Reddit traders. If you're somebody like that, we would love to have you in our community. If you're not, then there's tons of other chat rooms you can Google and check out, and a bunch of other stuff you can watch. But we're looking for somebody who actually can contribute to the community as well. So if you're somebody like that, let us know in the comments below. But it was a great chat, David. We definitely got to do this again. And, we'll see how this goes and what members think. And I'm excited to put something together.
Me too, man. And thank you for listening, everybody. I appreciate, your time. And one of the things I tell people all the time, if you think you missed something in this video, go back and rewatch it. Because if you watch something 2, 3, 4 times, you'll get different perspectives. And ask yourself a question: how can I grow in 2022? And what do I need to honestly work on to be the best version of myself? Because like we talked about, trading is not just about making money, it's about becoming a better man.
Perfect. 100% agree. 100% agree. I second that for sure. And I'm looking forward to our next one. And hopefully some of you guys will be in the Zoom call the next time we do it. Take care.